All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're looking at the volume of pyramids and cones. Volume of pyramids and cones. So, we are looking at the equation for volume of a pyramid is 1/3 the base times the height, where big B stands for the area of the base, and H stands for the height. Volume of a cone is volume equals pi r squared h. So pi r squared is the area of a circle times h, the height. Okay, so we've got two volumes of a pyramid, two volumes of a cone. Then we're going to do them where we're like missing part of it. And we're going to do a little story problem. Okay? All right, so first step is we've got this pyramid. All right? It looks like it is a square bottom pyramid. If it wasn't, we wouldn't be able to figure it out. So it looks like all four sides are the same length. Okay, so what is the area of the whole thing? It is 16 because we did 4 times 4. What's the height? 9. The distance from the bottom to the top of my pyramid. And so then we simply put it in the formula. Volume equals 1/3 16 times 9. I like to do sometimes 16 times 9 and then divide the whole thing by 3. You could do 16 divided by 3 times 9. You could put in parentheses 1/3. Since it's all being multiplied, it doesn't matter which order you multiply it in. It is 48 meters cubed. Okay. All right, now we've got a triangular bottom pyramid. How do we find the base, the area of the base of a triangular bottom pyramid? Base times height divided by 2. Luckily, we don't have to use the Pythagorean theorem because we don't have the hypotenuse, but we do have the base and the height. So we go 4 times 6 times 1/2. Guys, I think some people get confused when we talk about height of the 3D object versus height of the polygon. You guys, you got to put your heads up. DeAndre, put your head up. Take your hood down. Write down what I'm writing down, please. Let's go. Okay. Times by 1/2 or divided by 2. Same thing. 4 times 6 times 1/2 or divided by 2 gives me the base equals 12. What's the height of the pyramid? 9. So again, it's volume equals 1/3 base times height. And I get 36 meters cubed. Don't panic if it's a decimal point. You're going to get decimals for some of them. Okay? All right, let's look at a cone. Okay, let's look at this cone. How am I going to find the area of the base of the cone? Anybody know what area of a circle is?
Area of a circle?
Mm-hmm. Note that pi r squared. 2 pi r is circumference. Area is pi r squared. You combine pi r squared. And it says it right here at the top of your paper where it says volume, pi r squared h. 1/3 pi r squared h. So we're going to do pi. What's r for this? 2.2, which is radius, yes. Okay, do we want to use pi or 3.14? Okay. 2.2 squared times pi equals 15.2. Okay? And then we're going to times that by what? The volume equals 1/3 times the base times the height.
So that first part was the...
Just the area of the bottom. So we've got 1/3, 15.2 times 4.5. I get 22.8. Centimeters cubed. All right, I have a question. Why do we think it's 1/3? because it's volume, yeah, we're going to have to times it by something. If I took a cylinder, right? Does anybody remember the volume of the cylinder?
The volume of the cylinder.
Pi r squared times height. So, see how my cone kind of fits in here? It takes up 1/3 of a cylinder. Does that make sense? So I've got to take away the stuff that isn't there. And the same with a pyramid. It's base times height times 1/3 because I'm taking away 1/3 of like a prism. Okay. All right, let's do our other cone. Oh, this is a tricky one. Okay. All right. So it is 40 degrees right here, and it's 5.8 is my height. So I'm going to have to find my radius. So what am I going to use to find my radius? SOHCAHTOA?
Yeah.
Trig functions. So right here is my radius. Radius is opposite. 5.8 is adjacent. So I'm going to use tan of 40 equals opposite over adjacent. Cross multiply. Okay. 5.8 tan 40 gives me 4.87. Okay, and let's put this whole thing into our equation. We know volume equals 1/3 pi r, which is 4.87, squared times height, which is 5.8. So again, you can just put 1/3 in parentheses, or you can divide it at the end. We're going to use pi. Then we use 4.87. We square it. We times it by 5.8. And we're going to get 144.05. And that's inches cubed. Okay, we ready to turn it over? Okay. You need to be writing this down. Your heads need to be up. I strongly suggest, and I will mention this to your parents if you're not doing very well on tests and quizzes, that you do not have a calculator out and you're not doing the problems with us. You're simply waiting to be given the answer. That's going to hurt you when you do this project. You're going to have to do all the calculations for this project on your own from them. Okay. We've got a cone. We've got the volume. We've got the radius. What am I missing?
Height.
The height. So we know volume equals 1/3 pi r squared height.
I have a question.
Yes.
On the front of it, there's that first part of like, for the 1/3 b times h. What's in there?
Right. B is base, but our base is pi r squared.
Oh.
Does that answer your question, Jane?
All
Okay.
that's multiplied together.
Yep, all that's multiplied together. So we're just going to fill in what we have, right? Do we have the volume? Right. 1,521. We've got 1/3. We've got pi. My radius is 5. One second.
It's divided by 3.
My radius is 5 squared, and I don't know what my height is. So I'm going to do this whole piece first, just not including the x. So I'm going to put my calculator, pi times 5 squared, divide that by 3. I get 26.18. And how do I get x by itself, or height?
Divide.
Divide. That gives us 58.1 meters equals x. Why is it meters and not meters cubed? Because we're finding what? The height, not the whole volume. So that's the end. It just asks us to find the missing measurement. Okay, let's look at B. Now, volume for a pyramid is volume equals 1/3 the area of the base times the height. But how do I find the area of the base? It's what? Length times width. So I've got the volume is 170 equals 1/3. 10 times what? 10. Do we know? Does that look like a square? Does it say they're all the same length? So 10 times x times the height, which is 5. Now, this is all being multiplied, so does it matter what order I do it in? No. So let's do 10 times 5 times 1/3, or 1/3 times 10 times 5. We get 16.7. You either divide the whole thing by 3, or you put in parentheses 1 divided by 3 and times it. Okay, now I want to get x by itself. How am I going to do that? Divide. What do I get, guys? We did 170 divided by 16.7, and you got 10.2, rounded up. 10.2 meters equals x. Okay, who knows what the most famous pyramids are in the world? Yes. Egyptian pyramids. There are other pyramids around, but Egyptian pyramids are the most famous. The limestone blocks for which an ancient pyramid was made weighs about 2 tons per cubic yard. Find the approximate weight of the pyramid having a square base of 250 yards and a height of 150 yards. So let's think about this. We're going to have to figure out how many cubic yards there are, and then we're going to have to use 2 tons per cubic yard. So whatever cubic yards there are, we're going to have to multiply it by 2. Okay, its square base is 250, and its height is 150. Okay, so I know I'm going to use 1/3. How am I going to figure out the area of the base? If it's a square base with a length of 250, how do I figure out the area of the base? All the sides are the same. So you're dividing?
No.
Area of a square is what? Length times width. So 250 times 250, right? It's going to be a big number, guys. We get 62,500. And we're going to times that by the height, which is 150 yards. Times 150 divided by 3 gives me 3,125,000. Okay, now that's in yards cubed, but we don't want yards. We want what? Tons. So there are 2 tons per cubic yard. So I'm going to multiply this whole thing by 2. The answer, yeah? So it weighs 6,250,000 tons. Yes, but buildings would weigh a lot, and especially buildings made of big stone blocks, right? This one? I did. The area of a square gives me 250 and 250. That's the bottom of my pyramid. So I multiply them together. Does that make sense? Okay.